Welcome back to the channel. This is Ready Storm and you are watching 8th and final part of What If Naruto Changed After Wave Arc. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
It had been a month since everyone had learned of Naruto's death, and people were finally resuming their normal lives. There were a few exceptions, mostly close friends and family. Hinata was the worst of the bunch. She hadn't left her room in a month and hadn't eaten much. Tsunade came in second, having increased her drinking to drown her sorrow. To cope, Iruka had buried himself in his work, and Kakashi would stand in front of the memorial stone and stare at the names of his close friends and family, but his gaze would wander to a specific name on the stone. Except for Hinata, it became a tradition for Naruto's friends and family to eat at Ichiraku Ramen and talk about Naruto's past pranks and other things. When Hinata finally walked out of her room and saw the sun, it was a bright day. "Why did you have to do that, Naruto-kun?" she thought as she walked through Konoha almost mindlessly. Everywhere she went, she could see a recollection of Naruto. When she saw the long line at Ichiraku Ramen's stand, she was perplexed. When she looked in, she saw her friends discussing Naruto. As she pushed into the stand, she sadly smiled. "Hey guys," Hinata said quietly as they all turned to face her. "Hinata!" they exclaimed before wrapping their arms around her. "How are you?" Sakura inquired. "Better," Hinata admitted as she rested her hand on her stomach. "I guess I'll always remember Naruto." "Actually, we'll all soon," she admitted with a sad smile as they looked perplexed. "I'd say about 6 months," she added, as Sakura's eyes widened. "You don't mean?" Sakura paused as Hinata nodded. "Huh, what are you talking about?" Kiba inquired, causing Hinata to sigh. "You're a moron, Kiba," Shikamaru said. "When will you find out about the sex?" he inquired, attempting to give Kiba a hint. "Find out what sex?" Kiba asked, still perplexed, irritating everyone. "She's pregnant, you idiot."
Ino exclaimed angrily as the realization dawned on him.
"You mean you and Naruto?" He paused as Hinata nodded. "Can I touch your stomach?" Sakura inquired, placing her hand on Hinata's small stomach. Sakura felt a lump on her stomach. "It must have been your bulky clothes that hit it," Sakura joked. "I'm a little nervous," Hinata confessed. "Why?" asked Sakura, Ino, and Tenten. "Well, I haven't told Tsunade-sama, and you know," Hinata explained as their eyes widened. "Tell me what?" said a feminine voice behind Hinata, who stiffened. "It's good to see you're out again," the voice said again as Hinata turned slowly to face Tsunade.
Hello T Tsunade-sama, Hinata stammered, terrified.
"What is it that you haven't told me?" Tsunade inquired. I am." She trailed off before sprinting outside and emptying her stomach into a garbage can. She grimaced and walked back into the stand, wiping her mouth. "What's wrong?" Tsunade inquired, and before Hinata could respond, Tsunade was conducting a diagnostic examination on Hinata. Tsunade blinked a few times before running her hands over Hinata's stomach once more. "Hinata, are you?" She trailed off as Hinata nervously nodded. "And Naruto is the..." Hinata nodded again as Tsunade sighed. "I can't say I'm completely surprised," Tsunade admitted. "So who else knows?" she inquired as Hinata pointed behind her and saw that all the guys had vanished, leaving only the girls. "Those who were scared," Ino mumbled. "F Fathera and H Hanabi-chan K no T to a long W with R Rin," Hinata stutteringly said. "You don't need to be concerned," Tsunade said. "I'm not mad at you. Maybe a little disappointed for being so reckless, but I'm happy," she told Hinata as tears welled up in her eyes before hugging the older woman tightly. Tsunade rubbed her back, and out of the corner of her eye, she noticed the men peering in. "Hinata!" exclaimed a feminine voice as Hinata turned her head to see Kurenai and Asuma. "What's the matter, dear?" Kurenai inquired as Hinata's throat clenched, preventing her from speaking. Tsunade asked. Do you want me to tell her? Hinata nodded. I believe there is a congratulations for Hinata, Tsunade said, perplexing Kurenai. By Law 44B, she is not allowed to go on missions, Tsunade explained as Kurenai became confused and began to go through the laws in her head, her eyes widening. You're Hinata. Hinata nodded. But how? When? Kurenai was taken aback. I think you know how, and I know when, Tsunade said as Kurenai raised his head to look at the tall blonde. Remember Naruto's little lie about the Rasengan? She asked, as Kurenai nodded and Hinata flushed brightly. Well, I'd say he wasn't lying or it was shortly after we left, she added. Hinata. Kurenai paused as Hinata became agitated. Do you mind if they call me Kurenai Ba-chan? She asked, as Hinata looked stunned. I really want to be a part of your life more, and this way I can be, Hinata said, her eyes welling up with tears. Kurenai appeared stunned. Don't worry, it's just hormones, Tsunade dismissed. After a few months, Hinata was strolling down the sidewalk. Her stomach bulged out, indicating that she was expecting. People were taken aback when they first saw her stomach, but they quickly recovered. Random people would approach her and ask when she was due, if they could touch her stomach, and if she was aware of the sex. Hinata would always smile and say that it would be in 3 months, that they could touch her stomach, and that she didn't know the sex yet. She was currently on her way to the hospital for a checkup with Rin. She walked into the hospital and was quickly assigned to a room where she waited patiently for Rin to arrive. A part of Naruto will always be with me, Hinata thought as she rubbed her stomach when she heard the door open and saw Rin. Hello Hinata-chan, Rin said, looking at Hinata. How are things going? You're aware of the same, Hinata said.
I've been craving ramen a lot, she added, laughing.
I'm not surprised, Kushina-ne-chan was the same way when she was pregnant with Naruto. But she was already a ramen lover before that, so. Rin trailed off as Hinata laughed again. So we're going to find out the sex today, Rin said, running a glowing hand over Hinata's stomach and knitting her brows together in confusion. Hinata, could you please give me a minute? Rin asked, and Hinata nervously nodded before Rin quickly left. What is wrong? Please don't have anything wrong with my baby, she thought as Rin returned, dragging Shizune and Tsunade with her. Tsunade smirked as the two quickly made the hand signs and their hands began to glow green as they ran their hands over her stomach. So, Hinata, do you prefer a boy or a girl? Tsunade inquired. I don't mind as long as it's healthy, Hinata explained. Oh, they're perfectly healthy, Tsunade said, as Hinata sighed and her eyes widened. They? Hinata was taken aback. It appears you're having twins, Tsunade said.
During the checks, one of them was hiding, she added.
And the sex in male and female, Tsunade added, as Hinata's jaw dropped to the ground in shock. T-twins? Hinata stuttered, resting her hand on her stomach. That day later. Hinata walked to the ramen stand in a daze, noticing the line but knowing she didn't have to wait, she walked in and saw Ayame and Tucci making ramen. Hey guys, Hinata said from her reserved seat. Oh Hinata-chan, Ayame said, turning to face the girl. Is she healthy? Ayame inquired. You're certain it's a girl, Hinata said. Of course, you can call it women's intuition. Am I correct? She inquired. Well, half right, Hinata said as the stand fell silent and everyone turned to look at her. A girl and a boy, Hinata explained as Ayame squealed. Twins. Exclaimed Ayame, as Hinata nodded. Hinata was quickly deluged with congratulations from everyone. All the ramen is on the house, Tucci said with a smile. So, what do you want? Tucci inquired, quickly regretting his question.
Chocolate ramen noodles in beef broth with miso, Hinata said, as everyone stared at her strangely, and Tuki shivered.
It's like feeding Kushina all over again, he muttered to himself. After a few hours, Hinata entered the Hyuga compound and proceeded to Hiyoshi's office. He raised his eyes to her. Is it healthy? Hiyashi inquired. Yes, they are perfectly healthy, Hinata said, patiently waiting for the realization to sink in.
Oh, that's good that they are.
Hiyashi trailed off, his eyes widening.
He yelled, they.
As Hinata nodded. A boy and a girl, Hinata smiled as she saw her father faint for the first time. Why did father yell? Hanabi inquired as she peered into the room. Oh, I just told him I'm having twins, Hinata said casually as Hanabi blinked a few times before collapsing and passing out. Hinata smiled to herself as she struggled to stand. I needed to think that through better, Hinata grumbled. Neji. She yelled, and her cousin dashed in. I can't get up, she blushed as Neji sighed and helped her up. Don't do that to me, Neji said. I thought you were in big trouble. Why are they unconscious? Neji wondered as he noticed his uncle and younger cousin. Oh, I just told them the babies were fine, Hinata said with a smile. Babies? Neji asked before collapsing unconscious on the floor, and Hinata smiled to herself as she passed Neji's room and saw Tenten. You should go help Neji, he's unconscious in father's office, Hinata called into the room as Tenten eeped and blushed bright red. What did you do? Tenten inquired. I just told him I was having twins, Hinata said, completely forgetting about her embarrassment and Neji as she hugged her best friend. Hinata returned her friend's hug with a smile. Wait until Sakura and Ino hear about this. Tenten exclaimed. They'll freak. She exclaimed as she dragged Hinata from the house. Hinata could barely tell the guards to assist her father, sister, and cousin. Hinata was panting as they approached the flower shop. Ino. Tenten exclaimed as she entered. What Tenten, I'm right here, Ino said, irritably. Guess what Hinata told me, Tenten exclaimed. She's having twins? Ino inquired, as Tenten was taken aback. Yeah, it's already spread throughout the village, and everyone is talking about it, she added. Ino. Yelled Sakura as she dashed past Hinata and Tenten. Did you hear Hinata is having twins? Sakura exclaimed, panting. Ino simply waved to Sakura as she pointed past Sakura towards Hinata. 3 months on. Hinata made her way around the village slowly. Tsunade had at least one Anbu or Junin watching over her at all times because she was over a week late for her labor.
Hinata was walking when she felt a massive wave of pain hit her, causing her to groan and nearly fall to her knees.
She was lifted up and escorted by Anbu. What's wrong, Hinata-sama? Anbu inquired, concerned. I think they're coming, Hinata said, groaning again. Help me get to the hospital, Tora, Hinata begged as her Anbu nodded and carefully lifted Hinata up and began to rush towards the hospital. After a few hours. Ah!
Screamed Hinata as Tenten wiped the sweat from her brow.
Neji shivered in the corner from the terrifying sight. Neji, give me your damn hand. Hinata yelled angrily as he cradled his broken hand from the last time he held her hand. Neji. Tenten exclaimed as Neji stood up and slowly extended his hand to Hinata, but Hinata was faster than he thought, snatching his hand as another wave of pain passed through her and she crushed Neji's hand with a loud crack. Ah, my hand! Screamed Neji in agony. Ah, Naruto, if you were still alive, I'd kill you. Hinata screamed in agony. Hinata let go of Neji's hand, and he retreated to the waiting room, cradling his hands. His friends looked at the terrified and trembling Neji with a mixture of amusement and amazement. Neji, what happened? Shoji inquired. Hinata crushed my hands, Neji said as Tsunade approached and noticed Neji's black and blue hands. Tsunade sighed and quickly set and healed Neji's bones. Neji dropped to the fetal position and began to shake after hearing a scream of pain. So, which of you is going in next? Tsunade inquired as Shikamaru coughed. I don't think I'm feeling well, Shika said as Tamari smacked him upside the head. Shika-kun will go, Tamari said as she pushed Shikamaru into the room. Soon after, a terrified and pained scream could be heard. How powerful is Hinata? Tamari inquired. Let's just say she could probably get an Akamichi before she got pregnant, Kiba said. Hanane-chan told me that women usually get a little stronger while giving birth or something like that, Kiba said as a shaking Shikamaru emerged, muttering something about difficult birthing. It's your turn, Shino, Kiba said. Sorry Kiba, but I can't afford for the tunnels burrowed throughout my body to collapse, Shino said solemnly. Cho. Kiba began, but then realized Choji was gone. I went to get food, Tamari explained. Lee. He looked around but couldn't find him. Oh, so you think you're not going to cry out, Lee? Hinata yelled, followed by a loud yelp, and Lee was thrown out of the room and slammed into the wall with a loud thud. I don't want to go in there, Kiba begged as Tamari stood up and entered the room. Kiba, get you ass in here right now. Hinata yelled as he jumped, and Tamari emerged with a satisfied smile.
He tried to flee, but Tamari grabbed him and pushed him back into the room.
Give me your handwriter. No, please, I need them for my jutsu. Kiba begged. Then give me your foot. Hinata yelled as they heard a thud followed by both Hinata and Kiba's loud screams of pain. Kiba was soon wheeled out of the room and into an examination room next to Hinata's. Choji, your turn, Tamari said as Choji shrugged and walked into the room, where they heard Hinata scream in pain but no response from Choji. When they heard a small crying sound from the room, the entire room fell silent. Another grunt of pain and another crying sound followed. Choji soon reappeared, munching on some chips, and everyone stared in awe. How did you avoid getting hurt? Shikamaru wondered. Oh, I used my expansion jutsu on my hand so she could grab my fingers instead, Choji explained casually. Anyway, you can go see her, Choji said as Neji, Tamari, Ino, and Sakura shoved him out of the way. They all rushed into the room when they saw Hinata carrying 2 bundles in her arms. Tenten smiled and pulled the blankets away from the babies' heads, revealing that the boys shared Naruto's bright blue eyes and blonde hair, while the girls shared Naruto's bright red hair and violet eyes, as well as their father's whisker marks. They were cooing at the newcomers. What are their names? Ino inquired, tickling the boy's chin. He'll be Minato Hyuga Namikaze, and she'll be Kushina Hyuga Namikaze, Hinata explained. After Naruto parents, Kun's Hinata explained before yawning. Her eyes slowly closed as she succumbed to exhaustion. Shikamaru took out a camera and photographed Hinata while the babies stared in awe while Hinata slept. You're going to be a hellion like your father, aren't you? Iruka asked as the 2 babies shivered and smiled up at him like a fox. I think they'll be worse, he muttered as the others laughed. A few days later. Hinata was being discharged from the hospital, and nearly all of her friends and family were present to assist her. It didn't help that almost everyone in the village was waiting outside the hospital to see the 2 new babies. Iruka was holding Minato, and Hinata was holding Kushina. When they walked out, the girls immediately cooed at the sight of the babies. Ayame was the first of the villagers to see the newborns. Oh, he looks exactly like his father, Ayame cooed as she tickled his chin, making his face crinkle before grabbing her finger. Iruka-sensei believes they will be a hellion like Naruto-kun, Hinata said tiredly. I have no doubt, Ayame said as she noticed the 2 babies' fox-like grins. Hinata spent the next few hours pushing her way through the crowd until she arrived at the Hyuga clan. A few passing shinobi would either congratulate her or coo over the baby's cuteness. At least they'll have a family, Hinata thought sadly as she hugged Kushina closer to her chest. Kushina looked up at her curiously before reaching up and touching her cheek. Hinata smiled at the baby as she looked down. You are such a good girl, Hinata cooed, making Kushina toothlessly smile up at her. You're a natural mother, Iruka said. Not really, Hinata replied. I've been caring for Hanabi-chan since she was born, so you could say I've been acting like a mother since I was 5, Hinata added sadly. Even if your mother had survived, you would have been just as motherly, Iruka said, making Hinata smile. Thank you for your unwavering trust in me, Hinata said as they approached the Hyuga compound's large steel gate. Do you want me to accompany you? Iruka inquired as Hinata shook her head. No, I can take it from here, Hinata said as Iruka handed over Minato to her. She moved naturally, allowing her to easily hold the two babies. Thank you for your assistance, Iruka-sensei, Hinata said with a smile as Iruka opened the gate for her. It was my pleasure, Hinata-sama, Iruka smiled. Hinata-sama, are you finally out? A branch member inquired. Yes, I am Wa-chan, Hinata said, smiling. I would have returned sooner, but apparently these two were celebrities, Hinata explained before departing from the woman. As she walked by her father's study. We need to seal the younger twin, one of the elders said as Hinata scowled darkly. I will not allow the seal to be placed on my grandchildren, Hiyashi said darkly as Hinata walked towards Neji's room, her gaze fixed on the wall. She kicked the door, hearing an eep and a lot of scrambling before it opened and a partially naked Neji stood in front of her. He swallowed and cleared his throat. What can I do for you, Hinata-sama? Neji inquired. Can you and Tenten-chan look after these two for a few minutes? Hinata asked, smiling. I have something to take care of, she added, but Neji could hear the edge in her voice and felt sorry for the people who had irritated Hinata. Of course, Neji said as he took Kushina into his arms and whimpered when she grabbed his long hair and tugged hard. Tenten came in with more clothes, but Hinata couldn't help but laugh when she noticed one of her buns was loose and dangling down her back. Tenten snatched Minato into her arms and began cooing. Hinata walked away, bowing to her cousin. Those elders are going to hurt, Tenten said, tickling Minato. What do you mean? Neji inquired, perplexed. What happens in this clan when twins are born? She inquired, his eyes widening. Knowing Hinata, she will not let that happen, even if it means excommunicating herself from this clan, she continued. Using Hinata. Hinata was in front of her father's office. You cannot defy the entire Hyuga clan council, Hiyashi-sama, an elder said before her temper flared and she kicked the door backwards as hard as she could. She walked into the study. What are you doing here? Inquired a male elder. Shut up, Hinata grumbled. Why you ah? He screamed as Hinata's wings pierced his shoulders and pinned him against the wall. If you even consider sealing my children, I will kill you without hesitation, Hinata threatened, making a few of them shiver. And if you try it, not only will I leave this clan, but I will make it my life's work to ensure that everyone knows of the evils that you have committed, she threatened again, their eyes widening significantly. She let go of the elder's wings, allowing him to fall to the ground. Plus, I doubt the villagers would appreciate it if I said you wanted to harm them, she added before taking a step back. Well, you heard my daughter, Hiyashi said, leaning forward and raising his arms above his head. Are you willing to have possibly the most powerful Hyuga ever for something so simple? Hiyashi grumbled. Hiyashi smiled on the inside as he watched them drag the injured elder away. You are as fierce and frightening as your mother, Hiyashi thought. 3 months later, Orochimaru's destroyed lab in Iwa. As something began to rise from the depths of the ocean, large waves pelted the concave cliff face. A massive black chakra dome rose through the water and into the air. A human figure could be seen inside the dome. The individual had missing limbs that were rapidly regenerating. The chakra dome exploded, sending a chakra ring in all directions. Konoha. A girl with indigo hair looked tiredly at the two children in front of her. They have the same amount of energy as their father. As she felt someone walk in, she thought to herself. Hinata-chan, you appear tired. Why don't you rest while I keep an eye on the twins? A brunette girl with buns in her hair inquired. I believe I will accept Tenten's offer. Hinata spoke in a tired tone. She approached Tenten and gave her a quick hug before heading for the door. Oh yeah. I was going to bring them to Tsunade-sama around lunchtime to see her. If you can do that for me, I'd be grateful. She finished with a yawn. No worries. Tenten smiled as she began to play with the two babies while Hinata left. I wish you could be here with me, Naruto-kun. Hinata thought as she flopped onto her bed and fell asleep instantly, snoring lightly. A chakra wave slammed into the village, trembling it and shattering the windows. Her eyes widened as recognition hit her, followed by worry, and she dashed out of her room and into the living room to find Tenten hovering over the twins, glass shards resting on her back. What was that, Hinata? Tenten inquired as she rose to her feet. Orochimaru's laboratory. A blonde adolescent collapsed to his knees on top of the water, gasping for air. What happened to me? He was thinking as she looked around. He noticed that his left arm sleeve and right pant leg were missing. Ah, I lost a few limbs. He closed his eyes and concentrated as his surroundings slowed down before completely changing. When he opened his eyes, he was surprised to see the sewers rather than the forest. What the hell? He wondered. Kyubi, are you here? He called as he walked around and saw Kyubi laying down behind the bars of the cage. Naruto-kun, I used too much chakra. Kyubi informed him. My consciousness is fading. While my consciousness is not like this, my body will be evil. Because I am the closest to the 10-tailed beast. If I use too much chakra, she forewarned him, it will take several years to regain all of the
chakra I lost.
She went on to say. Do not believe anything the beast says. As her eyes began to droop, she added. You won't have the same control over my chakra if I'm not the regulator. The chakra of Yami Kyubi is overwhelming and will enslave you.
She informed him.
Best of luck, Naruto-kun. She told him as her eyes closed before snapping open with a bloodthirsty look in them. Come over here so I can rip you to shreds. Yami Kyubi slammed into the cage door, yelling angrily at him. Naruto recoiled in surprise.
No, it's not going to happen.
Naruto informed her. Goodbye. Naruto exclaimed as his consciousness returned to the real world and he realized, painfully, that Kyubi had not completely healed him. He ripped open his tattered shirt to reveal a fist-sized hole in his chest that was gradually healing. Damn, why didn't I feel that before? He thought as he tried to slow the blood flow. At Konoha, Hinata and Tenten stood in front of Hokage Tsunade. What in the world happened? Tsunade demanded, peering out her broken windows. How can almost every window in Konoha break at the same time? She inquired. Tsunade-sama, I'm familiar with that chakra type. Hinata said as she shifted her twins into a more comfortable position in her arms. Well, what is it? She exclaimed as the two babies were startled and began to cry, prompting Hinata to look at her leader. Sorry about that. Hinata rocked the two, and she mumbled embarrassedly. Anyway, that chakra belongs to Kyubi. Tsunade was taken aback by Hinata's words. But that can't be right. Tsunade explained. Jiraiya said he was dead, and he knows he shouldn't lie to me about something like this. She stated. We felt a tremendous concentration of chakra. Kyubi-chan must have used the majority of her chakra to do something right now. Hinata spoke with hope in her eyes. Do you believe Kyubi kept Naruto alive in some way? Tsunade inquired.
Or
the seal failed and she escaped before Naruto-kun died and simply reformed her body.
Tsunade nodded as Hinata spoke.
Alright, I'll dispatch a team to Orochimaru's lab in Konoha. Tsunade explained. Hinata, get ready because you'll be on that team. she stated. How about the twins? Hinata inquired. I'm confident Shizune and I can look after them. Tsunade spoke just as Shizune entered. Again, what did you volunteer for me to do? Shizune inquired as she placed the stack of papers on her desk. And those are damage reports from all over the village. She added before approaching Hinata and picking up the little red-headed baby and beginning to rock her in an attempt to calm her down. Thanks.
Hinata spoke quietly so as not to disturb the blonde baby in her arms.
I just offered to keep these two for Hinata while she went on her mission, Tsunade explained. Oh, if that's all there is to it, I'm fine with it. Shizune said as the baby girl relaxed and snuggled into her arms. Anyway, Hinata, go get your teammates. Hana Inuzuka will be the fourth team member since Kurenai is currently out of the village. Tsunade spoke as Hinata nodded and handed Tenten her son. Well, I'll be back shortly. Hinata exclaimed as she leapt onto the roof outside the window, her wings flapping before she soared off the roof and into the sky. Naruto is involved. Naruto had made it all the way up the cliff and to the edge before collapsing unconscious. His body was covered in blood. Using Hinata. Hana and her dogs were standing at the gate with Team 8. What exactly is our mission? Kiba inquired, slightly irritated. I assumed that lab had been destroyed. He went on to say. It was, but that chakra pulse belonged to Kyubi. Hinata stated before they began to leap away. Do you believe Naruto is still alive?
Hinata shrugged as Shino inquired.
It's possible. She added that she hoped he was. You do realize that if Naruto returns home alive, he will be killed? Hana spoke from her vantage point in front of them. Hiyashi-sama does not appear to be the type of person who takes it well when his 13-year-old daughter becomes pregnant out of wedlock. She elaborated. A few days later. They'd just broken through the trees. Alright, according to the map Tsunade-sama gave me, we have to go. That way. Hana said, pointing up the cliff face, before they all began to leap away. Hinata hasn't been getting enough sleep. I hope Naruto-kun is still alive. I'm not sure her heart can take much more. She reflected as they approached the massively concaved cliff. I believe we found it. Kiba commented as he sniffed the air. Do you smell that, Nei-chan? He inquired. Yeah, blood. A lot of it. Hana stated as she took a look around. You two search the waterline, Kiba, Akamaru, and Shino, while Hinata and I look up here. If you notice anything out of the ordinary, yell. Affirmative. Shino spoke, and Kiba nodded. You three should spread out and search for anything suspicious. She gave the order to her dogs, who nodded and all three vanished. Hinata, hurry up. Hana gave the order as the two began to walk away as the two boys leapt into the water. Hinata, I don't want you to get your hopes up, she trailed off as she noticed Hinata come to a halt. She followed Hinata's gaze and discovered a blond boy face down with a large pool of dried blood beneath him. Kiba, Akamaru, and Shino, come over here.
Hana yelled as she ran towards the boy, dropping next to him and gently flipping him over to reveal the whiskered face of the boy they were looking for. She placed her head against his chest and heard the faint sounds of a heartbeat.
He's alive. She exclaimed as she noticed the hole closing in his chest. If he returned when that chakra blast hit us. He has lost too much blood to live more than 5 minutes. Yet here we are 6 days later. As her hands began to glow green, she placed them over his chest and attempted to heal the wound. Hana heard soft sobs behind her and saw Hinata with tears streaming down her cheeks but a genuine smile on her face. What happened, Nei-chan? Kiba paused as he noticed Naruto's blood-splattered chest. Holy sh*t, Kiba murmured. After a few hours. Hana had done her best with her limited medical ninjutsu to close the wound. She looked up to see the sun setting in the sky. Naruto is stable for the time being. We'll sleep here tonight and leave early tomorrow morning. She gave the order. You and Akamaru, Kiba, will take the first watch, my dogs, the second, and Shino and I, the third. As she looked over to Hinata, who was sleeping with Naruto's head in her lap, she said. She had taken the time to wash the blood from his body. That boy is special, she thought. Shino, Kiba, you two go get some firewood. Akamaru, you and my dogs go food hunting, and I'll set up the tents. As they all nodded, she said. The 4 dogs ran into the woods, while the 2 boys walked through it. The following morning, Hana jolted everyone awake. Okay, we'll have to make an improvised stretcher for Naruto, Hana stated. So we'll need 2 7-foot-long sticks about the thickness of your fist. She said this as everyone else scattered around her except Hinata. You should see our kids, Naruto-kun. They are incredible. Hinata murmured as she moved a strand of hair away from his face, a pained expression on his face. When Hinata looked at him, she felt helpless. She heard some rustling and looked up to see the Suna, Kumo, and Iwa teams emerge from the woods. Hinata immediately went on the defensive as she saw the familiar faces of the Sand siblings and their sensei. Hinata-chan, you've already arrived? The blonde Suna lady inquired. What exactly are you all doing here? Hinata inquired, her guard still up. A chakra wave hit our villages, and Shukaku told me it was Kyuubi's chakra, so we came to investigate. Gaara informed her. Nibi said the same thing to me. A blonde Kumo lady stated. I had to investigate the chakra blast that came from within my domain. An elderly man stated. So the small brat somehow survived? He wondered as Hana, Shino, Kiba, and the 4 dogs emerged from the forest, and the dogs immediately began to growl at the blonde Kumo woman who hissed almost silently at them. What exactly is going on here? Hana demanded, her gaze fixed on them. They all felt the chakra blast as well, Hinata explained. I recognize Suna Shinobi, but who are you 8? Hana inquired, her gaze fixed on the others. Brat Sandame Tsuchikage is my name. As Hana's eyes widened and she stood protectively in front of Naruto, the old man said. My name is Yugito Ni, and I am the Nibi no Neko's Jinchuriki. Yugito stated. Would you like me to carry Naruto in my sand? Gaara inquired. That would be beneficial. Hana stated. Well, we should probably get going. As she backed away, Gaara lifted Naruto up with his sand. Do you mind if I accompany you? Yugito inquired. I owe him a great deal for getting me out of that lab. She went on to say. That would not be my decision. Hana said this as she turned to face Hinata. I don't care, I'll just beat her down if she tries anything. As Yugito's teammates snorted, Hinata said. Did you not hear or something? One of them inquired. She belongs to the Jinchuriki tribe. How about that, and? Hinata inquired as her wings pierced the back of her shirt and clung to her back. Let us return Naruto to Konoha so that Tsunade-sama can heal Naruto-kun. Hinata stated. You 3 return to Kumo and inform Raikage-sama that I am going to Konoha. Yugito gave the order. So have the Slug Princess send me a report on him. I owe him a lot as well. As he and his team walked away, Oanoki told them. Hokage office 10 days later late at night. While the twins were fast asleep on the couch, a haggard Tsunade was doing paperwork. Ah, now I understand why Hinata-chan is always tired. Those two have seemingly limitless energy. When someone burst into the room, she was thinking. Tsunade-sama Team 8, the Sand siblings, and a Kumo shinobi have just returned. The person exclaimed. They have another person with them, but Gaara has encased whoever it is in sand. Shizune walked in with another pile of papers, and her eyes widened and she leapt up from her seat. They're back, Shizune. Tsunade yelled. Stay here and keep an eye on the twins while I go check on them. She gave the order before leaping out the window and heading towards the main gate. She noticed a small group of people walking down the main road towards the hospital. She landed in front of everyone. "Report immediately," she demanded. Mission accomplished. Tsunade looked perplexed as Hana spoke. This was an intelligence-gathering mission. Unless. Her thoughts wandered as she looked at the sandball hovering near Tsunade. Is. She trailed off as Hinata nodded, a small smile on her face. Naruto-kun has returned. Hinata spoke softly. Please let me see him. Tsunade gave the order as Gaara lowered the sand in front of her, revealing Naruto's unconscious form. She was shocked to see the barely closed hole in his chest. I had to encase him in sand every 15 minutes to keep him from reopening his wound. Gaara explained as her tears began to fall. Please get him to the hospital as soon as possible. She gave the order as they all began to move. After a few hours, Tsunade walked out of the operating room, wiping her hands. She noticed that everyone was waiting with bated breath. He's out of the woods now, but I'm not sure when he'll wake up, Tsunade explained. However, he will live. Hinata elaborated. He will, it is only a matter of time before he awakens. Tsunade informed them. I'll have to inform the village that their hero is no longer dead, she added as she rubbed her temples. I'm thirsty. She mumbled something. The following day, as they gazed up at the balcony of the Hokage's tower, everyone was perplexed. Even the elders were perplexed as to why everyone was summoned. I'm glad everyone was able to attend. Tsunade's voice echoed through the crowd, and for the first time in over a year, their Hokage smiled. Something incredible happened last night, she exclaimed. Do you remember when all those windows broke? She asked, seeing everyone's confirmation. That was caused by a chakra blast from one of our own shinobi. It was felt all the way across the continent. As everyone became perplexed, she informed them. The team I sent out returned late last night, but with an extra Konoha shinobi, she added. I am happy to inform everyone that our own Konoha Naruto Namikaze was alive and has returned to us, she exclaimed as everyone fell silent. However, he is currently in a coma and we do not know when he will awaken.
She spoke quietly, but everyone heard her.
Tsunade smiled as a loud roar of cheers erupted from the crowd. You'll be surprised when you wake up, Naruto, Tsunade thought, tired. I'm too old to pull all-nighters, she says. She went on to say. After a month. In the month since Naruto's return, life in Konoha had gradually returned to normal. Hinata spent a lot of time in the hospital with Naruto, talking about various things, and Sakura spent some of her free time from training and missions with Hinata. The two would frequently find themselves conversing with Naruto in the hopes of persuading him to return to them. Konohamaru, Moegi, and Udon would always come after school with Iruka to see if anything had changed and would frequently spend hours discussing Naruto's previous exploits, much to Iruka's chagrin. Konohamaru was scribbling notes. Kakashi would show up at the most inconvenient times to check on Naruto. Gaara had paid Naruto a visit before returning to Suna with his siblings and sensei. Yugito returned to Kumo shortly after Gaara. The rest of the Konoha 11 would check on him at various times throughout the day. Asuma and Kurenai would frequently stop by to bring Hinata non-hospital food. Tucci and Ayame would come twice a day, once in the morning and once after their stand had closed. Anko would frequently appear after Iruka. Hinata was currently standing on top of Naruto's bed, watching her children play. When are you going to wake up, Naruto-kun? Hinata reflected to herself. What exactly is this weight? Naruto considered this as he felt two squirming things on his legs. I'm no longer in the forest, he thought as he felt the covers. The light burned his eyes as he slowly opened his eyes. Oh no, what happened to me? Naruto inquired, groaning. Naruto-kun. Hinata exclaimed joyfully. What became of me? The last thing I remember is collapsing in the woods. Naruto rubbed his head before looking down at his legs to see two babies, one with bright red hair and the other with bright blonde hair. Are you looking after Hinata? He inquired. And no. Hinata expressed her concern. What if he doesn't want children? She wondered. They're ours. She spoke softly. Really? He asked, nodding. Awesome. He exclaimed, stunned by Hinata's reaction. I've always wanted a family, and now I have one. He exclaimed happily as the door was yanked off its hinges, making Hinata smile. Hey, Ka-chan, you'll have to fix that. Naruto exclaimed as he looked up at the blonde woman, who was crying. Soon, his head was slammed between her large breasts in a crushing hug. Tsunade-sama, My boyfriend is turning blue because of you. Hinata said as she quickly let him go. I'm sorry, Naruto. Tsunade exclaimed, gasping for air. You'll kill someone with those hugs. Naruto panted as his friends and senseis flocked into the room to see the now awake teen. Hello, guys. Naruto said this while crushing Sakura's hug. He was taken aback when he felt her sobs. Sakura, don't cry. While attempting to console the crying girl, Naruto exclaimed nervously. Naruto, I see you're awake. He had burst into his room while he was unconscious, screaming something about flames of youth, causing Hinata to grab him by his spandex and slap him repeatedly with her wings, Kakashi said with his nose in a small orange book and Guy hiding behind him looking terrified at Hinata. Your youth flames burn brightly. Guy spoke over Kakashi's shoulder. Everyone was taken aback by his silence, but they could see his fearful gaze on Hinata. Thank you? Naruto inquired as Sakura's tears stopped. You are truly vexing, Naruto, Shikamaru said. Naruto, munch munch, I brought you some chips, munch munch. Choji said this as he handed Naruto a bag of chips, just as his stomach growled angrily. Thank you, Choji. Naruto stated. Please let me through. Ino exclaimed as she pushed her teammates aside and stepped between them. Good to see you awake, Naruto. She exclaimed happily. Konoha would not be the same without you. She added as everyone nodded in agreement. Brat, if you do this again, I will find you and kill you. Anko made a weak threat. You shouldn't do anything stressful, Anko-chan. Iruka told her sternly. Just because I'm pregnant doesn't mean I can't threaten people. She exclaimed, before giving Iruka a playful glare. Pregnant? Naruto was taken aback. Oh, you should know everything about that. While smiling at him, Anko said. I believe we'll have a talk, Naruto. Hiyashi stated. I'm going to Jayuken your nuts, Naruto. Neji stated unequivocally. You will not do that, Neji. Hinata said it far too sweetly and with a smile that made Neji shiver. Well, everyone, I'm tired. With a yawn, Naruto said. It's great to see you back, brat. Everyone turned to see Jiraiya after hearing a voice from the window. Good day, Ero Sennin.
As his children began to laugh, Naruto said.
Do not refer to me as that. Jiraiya yelled. Okay, everyone, you should leave. Naruto requires some rest. Tsunade said as she escorted everyone out except Hinata and the twins. Hinata picked up the twins before laying down next to Naruto, sandwiching them between them. Naruto had already left and had wrapped his arms around Hinata and their children subconsciously. Unbeknownst to the young parents, a camera clicked as the door closed. Hey, I'm sure they'll like this picture. Tsunade reflected as she turned to see Jiraiya staring at her. Come on, let's talk in my office. With a sigh, she said. A few minutes later. They were both in her office.
I've learned more about Akatsuki, Jiraiya said.
They'll start moving in a year and a half to get the tailed beasts, Jiraiya explained. And given Naruto's current state, they'll most likely come for him sooner rather than later,
he stated.
What do you think we should do? Increase the number of Ambu guards? Tsunade inquired, but already knew what needed to be done. I'm getting him out of Konoha, Jiraiya explained. You know as well as I do that I can make that boy vanish from view, he stated. It will take him about a week to recover completely, Tsunade informed him. That's fine with me, Jiraiya replied. So, where are you taking him? Tsunade inquired. You already know I can't tell you that, Jiraiya informed her, nodding knowingly and sighed. Just make sure he's not a pervert when he returns, Tsunade gave the order. Don't worry, I'll do it, Jiraiya informed her. This will irritate Hinata-chan, Tsunade mumbled as she took a bottle of sake from her desk and drank the majority of it in one gulp. After a few hours, Tsunade entered the room to find Naruto playing with his daughter. She gave them a sad look. Oh, Ka-chan, Naruto said, as his daughter giggled at him. What's the matter? He inquired, noticing her sad expression. In 1 week, Naruto, you'll be leaving Konoha on a training mission with Jiraiya, Tsunade spoke as Hinata's mouth opened. What? No, Hinata yelled. I just got him, she exclaimed. He won't be gone for long, maybe a year and a half, Tsunade explained. He must leave because he is currently the weakest of the tailed beasts. The Akatsuki can easily capture him. Sadly, she added. I apologize, she added. I have something important to tell you, Naruto stated. I need Jiraiya's assistance in learning how to control Kyuubi's chakra, Naruto added to their confusion. She had gone unconscious and lost control of herself, and her Yami side had taken over. She is currently slamming against the cage bars in an attempt to escape. So I believe it is best for me to go with Jiraiya, Naruto said something shocking to Hinata. Would you like to leave me? Hinata stuttered in an anguished tone. I don't want to. I must leave in order to protect Konoha, the future, and, most importantly, our children, Naruto told her as he noticed tears streaming down her cheeks. Don't cry, please. As he wiped away her tears, he told her. I hate seeing her cry, Naruto reflected. However, you're leaving us. As a sob broke through Hinata, she said. Only temporarily, Naruto explained. I'll write whenever I can and send a toad to deliver it, he informed her. You had better. Hinata spoke quietly but loudly enough for him to pick up on the dangerous tone. A week later, while standing next to Jiraiya, Naruto wore his signature black cloak over his shoulders. We should get started, brat, Jiraiya informed him. Alright, Ero-sensei. Naruto said this as he walked towards Hinata and kissed her forehead, then Minato's and Kushina's. I'll be there before you know it, he informed Hinata. Adieu, Naruto-kun. Hinata said this before leaning forward and kissing him passionately. Naruto-kun, please return soon. Before he pulled the hood up, she whispered into his ear. Bye, Konoha. Naruto turned around to see Jiraiya had left before him. Damn you, Ero-sensei, wait up. As he jogged to catch up with him, Naruto yelled.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.